Hi, I'm Susan Ledoux, the City Clerk for the City of Worcester, and one of my duties is Executive Director for the Board of Election Commissioners. And I'm here today with my Assistant City Clerk for the Elections Division, Vangjeli. And we would like to talk to you today about the upcoming 2016 presidential election and all the exciting opportunities we have for you. So, Nika, why don't you start off with what they can deadlines that are coming out?
Thank you, Ms. Ledoux. Some of the important deadlines coming up are the voter registration deadline will be coming up in a few weeks. It's October 19th at 8 p.m. Voters are encouraged to check their voting status. If they have any questions about their voting status, you can call the Worcester Election Office at 508-799-1134. They can also visit the City of Worcester website at www.worcesterma.gov and look for the Where Do I Vote function. So you have until October 19th to make any changes to your registration, so it can be an address change, a name change, a political party change. So any of these changes or any of your questions you might have before October 19th, you might call the office or visit the city website.
So let's talk about one of the big opportunities that is coming up this year, and that's early voting. So this is the first time this is being done throughout the state. And every city and town are required to have an early voting session. So why don't you talk about the details of the time period for that?
Yes, this year is an exciting election season because not only do we have a presidential election coming up, we also have early voting being implemented for the first time in the state of Massachusetts. And working alongside with the city administration, the city manager, the Board of Election Commissioners, we have kind of put together a 5-location schedule which revolves around 12 days of early voting. And some of the steps we took to kind of reach to this 12-day schedule is, first, we had some public hearings within the 5 city council districts, working along with the Board of Election Commissioners and the city clerk. We kind of went into the community. We had a discussion with members of the community. We took public input. We actually also did a survey. So based on some of the input that we received, we were able to kind of come together to a conclusion that we need one early voting location in each city council district. So,
so for example, most cities, and all we're really required to do is do one location in our city hall. But because of our city hall, the parking here is not really advantageous for a streamline of people coming in within those 12 days of early voting. So this is one of the reasons we decided it would be best to put it out in the community. And plus, it's more accessible and convenient for people to have it within the outside City Hall and other areas. So let's talk about the times. It begins October 24th.
It begins October 24th, and it runs all the way till November 4th. And during the week, we decided to open the early voting sessions at 8:45 a.m. and close them at 7 p.m. And voters all across the city are welcome to show up to any of the locations which are on the schedule, which is on the city website, and it will be posted within this program. And any voters across the city, so it doesn't matter if you live on the west side and you decide to show up to a location in downtown Worcester. So all ballot types will be available at all these early voting locations.
So let me quickly just list the voting locations that you can go to. The first would be, we're starting with October 24th, which is Monday. We're going to begin at the Unitarian Universalist Church. Then it'll go to Tuesday, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Recreation Center. And then we'll go to Wednesday, the Worcester Senior Center. And then on Thursday, it would be Clark University Higgins Center. And then Friday at the Worcester State University May Street Building. What's exciting also is that on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to offer have these open at all 5 locations. So on Saturday and Sunday, you can go to any of these 5 locations. And then once Monday begins, we go back to the schedule we did the previous week, Monday through Friday, at one location within the city. And the schedule that we, on our flyer, it explains exactly where those locations will be. The time also is 8:45 to 7 p.m. Saturday is 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday is 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Now, on the last day of early voting, November 4th, we do have to close at 5 p.m. according to the state regulations. So it closes at the end of business day. And that's the Friday before the Tuesday election. So why don't we talk about why we're able to go to the 5 locations on Saturday and Sunday because of the new equipment we have.
Yeah, so one of the goals of early voting is to encourage people to cast their ballots early rather than wait until election day, because for us it would be very beneficial if people took advantage of early voting, because as we know, presidential election is a busy election and people show up in large numbers at the polls, and if we can get a good majority of people to show up to vote early, this will diffuse the pressure that we have on election day, and hopefully we don't have the same long lines as we have experienced in the past in the city of Worcester. So the reason we kind of wanted to implement early voting is first to give the community a chance to vote within their neighborhoods. So if you take a look at our schedule, most of our early voting locations are existing polling locations. They're fairly close to certain areas of the city, so voters can show up to any of those early voting locations, and it doesn't matter if you live on the west side and for some reason you decide to vote in the downtown area. All you have to do is show up to that location. There will be an electronic poll pad. So the way that early voting will work is the voter will come in, the poll worker, again, you'll have 6 poll workers working at these early voting locations. You'll be greeted by 2 inspectors. Each inspector will have a poll pad. So you'll come in, you'll state your address, your name. Once you've stated your address and your name, the inspector will check you in the poll pad. We'll also print you a label. So early voting will work like absentee voting. The only difference is that you can actually cast your ballot in person at these early voting locations rather than get it through the mail.
Exactly.
So you'll come in, again, state your address, your name. The poll worker will give you an early voting envelope. You'll also be given a ballot. You're going to go into the voting booth. You'll mark your ballot. Once you're done marking the ballot, you'll place the ballot inside the early voting envelope, seal it, then return it to the police officer, which will secure the ballots until we run them through the machines, the tabulators, the central tabulation on election day.
Right. One of the differences between this and absentee ballots is absentee ballots go to the polling location on Tuesday, November 8th, whereas early voting ballots will be collected and brought to a central tabulation center on Tuesday, November 8th, and which will be located in City Hall in the Levi Lincoln Chamber. And they will all be opened and tabulated on Tuesday, November 8th. So let's talk about, what should we talk about next, Nico?
We kind of mentioned what early voting is about. We can also kind of explain that voters will still have the opportunity to vote by absentee. By law, the reason to vote by absentee is if you're not able to make it to the polls on election day for a physical disability or because you're going to be out of town. So people don't really have to use absentee ballots anymore, or absentee voting per se, because we do have early voting. So if you're worried about, because you work on November 8th and you're not able to make it to the polls in time, we encourage people to take advantage of early voting.
Yes.
We have an extensive schedule, so there's really no excuse not to vote early this year, because we also offer the weekend hours, as Ms. Ledoux mentioned. We have extended evening hours for commuters who are working outside the city and at night come to reside back in the city. So we hope that the public takes advantage of early voting.
Right, exactly. So we encourage everyone to vote and take part of this November 8th, 2016 presidential election. It should be exciting, and please come out and vote.